So check it out. I've got 6 2023 firsts in the league. But now what do I do? Scott, what's your strategy with 23 firsts? We've got them. Now what?
Well, you've heard us on the channel, specifically me, talking how great the 23 picks have been literally since we started Dynasty Trades in 5. This is what I'm doing. I'm looking at all my teams as a whole and trying to figure out, okay, which ones do I want to at least dangle out there right now and see what the market looks like. Because I think there's going to be a couple, I guess, sell windows for the 23 first. You're going to find people that start looking at their teams heading into the season and saying, let me get ahead on the rebuild. You know what I mean? Let me prepare for the tank. I mean, I'm already starting to see this in some leagues where you have teams that are already directed towards wanting to punt because they might be holding their own 23 first and they want to get some points off their team. This is the prime season to sell your Devontae Adams, Mike Evans, Cooper Kupps. Like, you can get those guys off your team because they're going to probably score a lot of points. And look for picks. So you're going to have those opportunities. People want to get points off their team, position themselves to tank. You want to know which picks you already want to trade away. So what I'm doing is kind of looking at like my stronger teams and saying, okay, and I have a lot of 23 first. Not everybody might not have as many as me, but I'm looking at the ones where if I see in the league chat or if I see on the trade bait, hey, this guy's available, it's one I'm willing just to kind of fire off and send an offer without having to go through and think, sit on it for a couple of days, go back and forth. Like, hey, I'm comfortable throwing my 23 first in. So I think that's where you have to start. You have to already know those teams. You have to already pick out your teams. Go, okay, I either want to use this pick now or gamble and wait until the season where things are a little less muddy. You're not trading for guys that are going to get hurt in the preseason or are going to get hurt early on in the year. You have a little insulation, but you also don't get their points early on either. You wait till week 10. That guy better smash. You know, if you buy Mike Evans in week 10 because he's smashing, he better smash the rest of the year. Otherwise, you've just you're already making a losing bet. You're going to lose value if you keep that player into next offseason, right? So you kind of want to trade during that sweet spot. Do you want to try to get them all season, or do you want to wait until you see it they're smashing, but then hope they smash the rest of the year if you do it midseason? That's what I think you got to do. That's where you have to start. Figure out your rosters where you're willing to trade them, and then try to get the best haul possible. On the other side, if you have ones that are clearly, hey, I'm looking at Clay's team, it's not looking so hot. Clay's pick's just kind of going in my closet. You know what I mean? It's not getting touched until there's like a time to really, really bring it out for a big offer. But that's it. If I'm trading away what I think is going to be a non-playoff pick in 2023, it has to be guaranteed insulation back where I'm like, this asset I'm getting not only is going to help me smash now, but next year it's going to retain 90% of its value, if not go up. So I'm not putting high first in for any deals unless it's like that. So you have to know the difference. Know what teams are which teams you want to bet on, which teams you want to buy reinforcements now, which teams you want to wait and go, hey, I don't know if this team's going to win. I don't want to ship my pick. If I have two things go wrong, I'm holding the 103 with my own pick. Why would I trade that away for one veteran? I think that's what you have to do. You have to know where those are at and be prepared to trade them when the opportunities come up.
So Scott, you have my 23 first. My team is trash. Are you going to give Shane my 23 first for CD Lamb?
Yes.
Yes.
I would. Yeah. That's one of the few players where you can say, could smash. If he smashes, we'll have massive insulation where I could probably get right back into the draft plus next year if I wanted. There's a little risk. There's risk with every player, but that's one of those few that I would start putting on my list. Like, hey, I'll send even what could be the 102, 103, 104 next year for this single player. If it's veterans and you're wanting to sell me Mike Evans, Saquon Barkley, those types, like if it's an early pick, I'm probably wanting two of those guys. Maybe I'll throw back a second or something, but I want the two players if I'm making that kind of trade now. Otherwise, I need to have insulation, so Lamb would fit the bill.
Shane, you've got 623 firsts in a league. Now what? Are you making the picks? Are you trading the picks? And when are you doing it?
I mean, how's the roster constructed? So I'm guessing it's weak at running back, knowing me. So there's a good chance I'm making at least 3 of those picks. Just like Scott said, though, I'm not trading for anyone over the age of 26. I think one thing you should do is actually write out a list of players that you're willing to trade 23 firsts for. You put it on a spreadsheet, right? If you would do it and what the situation is. You're not going to trade any 23 firsts for running backs right now, right? Like, unless you're getting Jonathan Taylor back. If someone wants to let him go for a random 23 first, fine. Maybe Najee Harris, maybe DeAndre Swift, but you need to come up with your list and, like, be pretty hard and fast with it right now. Deontay Johnson is not going to get a 23 first out of me. Like, I don't care where it is because I don't think he's going to win a league for me. Or if you do think he can win a league for you, fine. but I don't think you want to waver on that. I think you want to be steadfast on that approach. Once the season starts, the season's going to tell you what you need to do. If my team's doing a little better than I thought it was, we all have those teams, right? We get lucky in the first 4 weeks for reasons unknown. We're 3-1, even if the points aren't really there. And we're like, well, you know what? All I need is 4 more wins to get into the playoffs. So I might as well just go ahead and sell some of these picks and make
some players. Yeah.
Yeah. Like Scott said, I'm not getting old guys because if I'm spending a 23 pick because of how valuable they are, the 1 year window is not enough for me. 6 week window is definitely not enough. Like it's got to be, okay, I can picture this guy helping my roster for the rest of this year in the playoffs. And then obviously for next year, if I'm really being honest, I want them to be able to 2 years out and go, all right, well, this is a guy that I can have on my roster for at least 2 years. Perfect example of that, CeeDee Lamb, T. Higgins, players in that range, A.J. Brown. Again, you won't find any running backs on that list except for Jonathan Taylor, maybe Najee Harris.
Yeah, and it's also, how casual the league is. Like if it's a super casual league, maybe you've been able to gobble up these 23 firsts because they aren't aware of the 2023 class like we are. And so I guess just knowing the league economy, like Scott always says, and, if people say, hey, let me get one of your 23 firsts, okay, send me an offer, and the league will tell you if they appreciate those 23 firsts yet.
I think to your point too, if it's a league where you acquired them very easily, it's going to be probably harder to sell them what we've kind of talked about the prices are going to be. I mean, I've said it all year. I think the deals that I expect are a little aggressive compared to what the market is because I've sent a lot of those trades out. And it's like, I want 2 veteran starters. I mean, we acknowledge that if you're sending a first for, let's say, Nick Chubb and Devontae Adams, right? Most people are going to go, I want a 23 first for each of those guys individually. Yet if you're on the selling end and you're desperate to get picks, good luck getting a 23 first for either of those guys individually. Right. So there's an in-between there that you have to kind of send out offers, wait for responses, get feedback, kind of figure out where's this team headed. And then those are the ones where you have to be a little more flexible. I'm going to be more flexible without needing the insulation if I'm able to get 2 pieces. Now, it doesn't have to be like 2 absolute studs, but it needs to be 2 pieces that are guaranteed to be in my lineup and guaranteed to help me. That's the deal that I'm willing to do if I'm making it today. Otherwise, I'm not sending, even if it's the 111, 112, I'm not sending those for low-end RB1s, low-end wide receiver 1s. I don't need to do that. I can wait until I maybe have a better leverage position because I think that type of deal is going to be there at all times. And in the leagues where you acquired 623 firsts, you're probably not going to be able to go out and go, oh, I just want Stephon Diggs. Now, we know Stephon Diggs in a lot of leagues won't even get a 23 first. If it's a team that doesn't know what they're doing or they're not sure the direction of their roster, they may not want to buy a 28, 29-year-old receiver for their 23 first. They're just like, you know what, I'm going to need a quarterback. There's no point in me doing this because I'm not going to probably beat you anyway. That's where a lot of my teams are right now, where people look at trading away picks to me for veterans and they go, can I beat you if I acquire this veteran and give you my first? You know what I mean? If I can't, I'm actually setting myself back even more. So I think in those leagues, you may have to do what Shane said, and you have to make those picks. The most value you're going to get back is next year when the rookie class hype happens, not during the year when points are being scored.
Let's say you have a 623 first. Are you trying to trade 2 or 3 of those and pick with 3 or 4?
I'm probably going to try to trade at least 3 to 4 of those. I'm going to try to attach each one of them to one specific player and upgrade tier up significantly, right? Like, so we were talking about old man Devontae Adams. Maybe I try to sell Devontae Adams at a 23 first and see if someone's going to give me CeeDee Lamb. Go crazy. Let's see. Maybe I can get Justin Jefferson off this guy. Let's just see. With that many picks, I'm also not opposed to using multiple firsts, right? To get my favorite position, the quarterback. Like, do I need to throw Kirk Cousins and 223 firsts to get Josh Allen? All right, let's do it. You know what I mean? Because the point differential at that position is just going to be so much greater. That's the one thing is that I won't be hard and fast in that specific strategy. As far as players that I'm willing to pay for, I will be. But But as far as like, all right, am I going to make these picks? Look, it's a long season. I want to win a title just as much as the next guy, right? Or gal. So I'm definitely going to be looking to see, can I package those with players?
What do you think, Scott? If you've got 623 first, how many would you like to actually make, and how many would you trade?
Yeah, so I actually have this example that I had earlier this week. I actually have 623 first out of 12, and I have a really strong team. So what I've been doing is I've been now fishing through my first, and then I think probably my biggest competition in the league, I also have his first. So those two I've been shopping around going, okay, these are probably going to be 109 to 112s, right? Those are the two I've targeted to try to trade away. The other four, I think all have a shot to be top 8 or better. So I'm holding off moving any of those right now. So I've shopped out the other two, the ones I want to trade, for veterans, trying to buy a veteran 1-on-1. I'm trying to get the most insulation that I can. I've tried to add both of them together and get, maybe a one insulated piece, maybe like a T. Higgins, and then I also get a Zeke or something like that. I'm trying to get 2 pieces, and it's a point per carry league. So a guy like Zeke's going to have a little more value in that case. But I've been selective on those trades, and I've gotten declined on those trades. I usually have gotten counters. When I get counters, they are, hey, I don't mind trading you T. Higgins, but I want my own first back.
Yeah.
One that looks like it's 102 or 103. And I'm like, well, in a point per carry league, I have no incentive to trade a potential top 4 pick for a wide receiver. So we haven't gotten any traction there. What I did do, though, is there's other players that I've thought about making offers for, like Mike Evans. I bought a Mike Evans share today. I sent essentially a 23 first, one of the late ones, for Mike Evans and another throw-in running back like Tony Pollard. I wanted both for 1 pick. Declined, but the guy countered with he would give me Mike Evans for one of the mid to late 23 firsts. And I sat there and I go, you know what? I don't need to trade a 23 first, even if it looks like it's a back 4 pick for Mike Evans right now. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's the kind of guy I can wait, especially if he smashes early in the season. And then Godwin comes back, maybe Gronk comes back. He's the kind of guy that will be available, maybe not in that league, but in a lot of other leagues for cheaper. You know what I mean? So why commit to giving up the flexible pick today? So what I did is I went, because I have 623 first, I gave up my 24 first for Mike Evans.
Okay.
And I go, you know what? I can probably get a better 24 first back at some point with one of my later 23 picks. So I'm actually probably getting it a little cheaper than giving up my late 23 first, if that makes sense. So I think that's another option. Sometimes the late first that you have, I'm sure you guys are in leagues where you have a good team. You're trying to shop your late first. Everyone knows you have a late first. They're not biting. You know what I mean? They're not seeing it as a random 23 first like you're trying to market it as. So in that case, I just moved to 24. And I hate this saying, but I will probably be able to get that 24 pick back if I wanted, because I'm holding the 623 first. So that's a back way around it if you can't get the value you think the random 23 first should be worth.
So 23 first, we were trying to gobble them all up. When can you have too many first, though? Like, is 6 a good number? You wouldn't want to go above 7? Talk to us about the kind of the economy, the market you create if you have too many 23 firsts, if there is such a thing. Sounds like a great problem, right, guys?
Yeah, so I know Scott's going to disagree with me because he's more analytical than I am. If you got all 12, you got all 12. I was in a draft last year, 2020, right? Was that the year? 2021, whatever the last good class was. It wasn't this one, where someone had the entire first round and made every pick. And it would have been beautiful had any of those quarterbacks actually not been trash cans. There's still time for it. I have no problem. If I had to, I'm assuming if I have, let's go a reasonable number, right? I have 5 or 6 of those first round picks. There's a good chance I gutted my team to get those, right? So I'm assuming those teams are going to be bad this year unless something really unforeseen happens. So I'm fine with owning all those picks and making all those picks. Now, what I will do is come draft time next year, if someone wants to get into the class, say I only have 5 or 4, I'll gladly let them move up, but they're giving me a 24 first to get to do so. And guess what? They will. In about 6 months, even the casuals are going to realize, like, oh my God, this class. So you'll be able to, get a 24 first out of them just to let them move up a little bit.
The idea of having all the picks, I mean, sure, the more assets you have, the better. I think what Clay was getting at with the question was, I have had circumstances where when you have all the picks, it's great to have them all, but I think that's when you're swayed more into you have to make them all too. Because if you have so many picks, people don't like the fact that, you have all 12 first, Shane. Everyone has to go through you to get them, which means you set the price. Now, some people would be somewhat nice with setting the price. Other people would go, basically, they value them all the same because I have all 12, right? Doesn't matter which one you give me. Sure, I'll give you my 112. Let me make sure I go through and do everything I want with the 111, 110, 109. I'm basically controlling the value of your pick. I think that's what Clay was getting at with the question. Like, if you have 5 of them or 6 of them, you're probably already controlling the general draft board anyway, which means you're basically already controlling the trade market for those picks because the other 6 are probably in the hands of 5 or 6 other managers. So it's not like anyone else has a leverage where like, okay, they have 3 of them. If that's the case, then you might be dealing directly with that person. They might want to get in your spot. Like maybe they want 3 more. They'd be willing to actually give you a legitimate deal. Otherwise, I think there's diminishing returns when you say, okay, I have 7 firsts. Let me go try to get more. If I'm paying just square market price, sure. If people are giving them away because people hate draft picks, then keep getting them. But if it's like, okay, I have 7, I'm pretty confident 3 or 4 of them are really bad managers that are going to bring their team into the top 5 or better. It's not really worth it to go chase the other 2 high picks. You know what I mean? It's better. You're better off kind of just exerting your leverage once you get closer to the draft and you see the draft board. So in those cases, I'm almost going to stop. It doesn't mean I don't want them if you're going to give them to me for free, but I'm not going, okay, I have 7. I need to get the other 5. Let me gut my roster to do it.
Yep.
You're actually hurting yourself because now if somehow you gutted your roster and now you have all 12, that's a cool example of somebody making all 12 picks, but that's inefficient. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That they really lost some efficiency by using all 12 of those on picking players.
I mean, so just in a real world, no one's going to have 12 picks. No one's going to have more than I can't imagine. We did see one guy that had 7 picks, right? And we'll be doing a roster review on him soon. And he explained to us why his league basically hates picks and they love players, which is fine. But most leagues, you're not going to be able to do that, right? Most I've had in any league is 6. 5, and I had to gut my roster to get there. If you have 3 or 4, I think you're fine. You know what I mean? I'm definitely not going to be like, all right, well, I have to like just completely rip down everything from the studs. Like I'm going to trade my stud quarterback just to get more picks. Like that would be silly because you are going to, these players are going to have to be built around something because you're going to miss on some of these. As much as we love this class, somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 to 7 of these players is probably going to end up missing in the first round.